Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Druids and Dragons, Season 5, Episode 20 of Dawnbringers, Rime of the Frostmaiden, a epic D&D campaign happening every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain. And here we are to continue our story. A couple quick caveats before we get going. My internet was out for like 14 hours overnight, and I don't know if it's going to play nice right now. So our usual thing will go forward. If we have problems with it, we'll either call the game or we'll go offline, continue playing, and we'll post the VOD on YouTube. It's looking pretty good right now from what I can see, but the signal strength does not look good, so I don't know what's happening. Nonetheless, another quick note is that we will not be playing our usual Dawnbringers game next week, Thursday, because starting this Sunday is actually technically starting tomorrow over on D&D Beyond is Jasper's Game Week. That's right, 10 days of gaming and fundraising for suicide awareness through Jasper's Game Day begins tomorrow over on D&D Beyond. They get Friday and Saturday. There's some great games going on over there. And then starting on Sunday at noon and going from noon until 1:30 a.m. every single day next week, all the way through Friday, we've got 24 games coming at you with some incredible dungeon masters and players. Every game had some seats that were either won by auction or won by raffle. And I don't have a final count yet on what we've raised prior to starting our event, but it's I can say that I believe it's twice what we raised this time last year in the pregame. In fact, the amount we've raised prior to starting Jasper's Game Week this year is really close to what we raised for the entire event last year. So this is going to be very big, very epic. But while we will not be playing our Dawnbringers game, you will find our most of our Dawnbringers here, along with Dwight the Big Bearded Nerd at 10:30 p.m. Eastern next Thursday for a game that I'm entitling Bardic Desperation. It is a level 10 adventure, and it's going to be hopefully equal parts silly and serious. I've been inventing new monsters for this game, so it's going to be a lot of fun. My goal is within the rules. I'm not going to bend any rules or anything, but I'm going to try my hardest for a TPK in that game. I'm telling you now, a week out. So go ahead and optimize those characters.
Knowing that, I might redo this character a little bit.
I did that on purpose, Dan. I don't normally do that, but it's for charity.
This is a character that I made rolling 3d6 in order, and he ended up with a 9 Constitution. So we might be rethinking that.
That's why I wanted to give you a heads up, because normally D&D cooperative storytelling, it's never it's never the DM versus the players. Next Thursday, it's DM versus the players. We're going to see what happens with that. We're going to have some fun with it. Hey, Big Bearded Nerd just rated us with a party of 9. If you're not all the way already following Big Bearded Nerd, make sure you are, because they just wrapped up the first episode of their new Thursday night painting stream called International House of Minis. It's a wonderful painting stream with people literally from all around the world. US, Canada, Ireland, and Australia are all represented in that stream. So welcome, Raiders. And this one's just for you, Keel. Oh no, the Oreo machine's broken. Inside joke. All right. So by now, some of you may have noticed that M is not in their slot for Fig. And unfortunately, but for very good reasons, M will be absent from the Dawnbringers. Fig will be absent from the Dawnbringers for a period of time that will most likely be all summer long. So we're going to deal with that in story, but we are very excited once again that M is doing some incredible things with their career, and the just the things that they're pursuing, and literally living out real life adventures doing, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. There's some incredible things that they are doing, and we are very excited and thrilled for M. So of course, I already pitched Jasper's a ton. Please show up next week. Throw your support behind that event and everybody as we raise money for that. And of course, you can always donate at the link that just popped up in the chat down below. You can also hit !coffee, get yourself some Metade roast coffee, which also supports, and of course, Initiative Coffee Company is going to be sponsoring one or more games next week. So check them out as well. Also, our sponsor, Talon and Claw, exclamation point, MTD Claw. In addition to all of the incredible things that they have in that Etsy shop, wonderful dice storage accessories, vaults, rolling trays, DM screens, tomorrow they are launching the Talon and Claw dice Kickstarter for gemstone dice, and they've been doing some giveaways. They got a lot of incredible stuff. Now, the discount doesn't apply to the Kickstarter, but while you're waiting for your dice, you can head over to the Talon and Claw Etsy store, get yourself some of the new Council of 11 dice vaults to hold your new 11 dice sets, and use code MTD Claw to get 10% off when you check out. So check that out. Domain dice. I just realized I need to give you one for that raid. Boom. Up above V, you'll see the domain dice. There's a potential for dragon fight coming up soon, so I feel like, well, there's a boss battle. Either way, Dawnbringers tend to burn through those things, but they get them from you, the viewer. Things like raids, subscriptions, gift subs, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5, all that stuff will earn them domain dice that they can burn through at their pleasure. The last thing that I want to mention, as we always do before we start playing some Dungeons and Dragons here, is that you matter. It's exceptionally important as we get ready to roll into a massive fundraiser benefiting suicide awareness, and suicide programs and crisis lines and things like that. You matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. You are not a critical failure. And it's okay to not be okay. These are all things that sound kind of they sound like things, slogans, but they're truths, and that's why we say them all the time. They're things that I live by, and that I need to remember from time to time, as well. But if you're struggling, we want to make sure that you can get access to the help that you need. It's as simple as coming here any time of day or night, whether we're streaming or not, and typing !help into the chat. That will bring up a series of phone numbers and a URL. No matter where you are in the world, help is just a phone call or a text message away. So please do not hesitate to use those resources. With that, I think it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. So, the Dawnbringers have of late been trekking all over the southern part of Icewind Dale, back and forth along the spine of the world, some treacherous mountains, but with a very clear destination being a fortress, a former Duergar stronghold known as Sunblight. They've learned that their old once ally turned recent nemesis, Vi the Druid, has transported some kobolds with her from the south in along the Sword Coast and down in Oakhurst, which lies north of the Desrin Valley, and has been resurrecting her dead brother as Belak the Malevolent through the use of Chardalyn, a magical crystal that seems to have parts metal, crystal, ice, and malevolence built into it, as Fig and Thorgarn found out recently. So they eventually made their way to this fortress, found their way inside with a little bit of help from some invisible kobolds. 3 kobolds in a trench coat, in fact, that turned out to be none other than Upo, Uspo, and Weepo, clutch kin of their former friend and ally, Meepo, who was also, they were working with Yerstrael, the one-time clan leader of the kobolds from the Sunless Citadel, one of the ones transported here. But she has no interest in what the Druid is doing and is hoping the Dawnbringers can take care of things. Pointed them to a map room where they were able to see the route of the Chardalyn dragon on a mechanical table. Whether because of or coincidentally lining up with running the flight path on the magical table, they heard a tremendous shaking and a violent commotion. They ran outside to see just in time as Belak the Malevolent, the Chardalyn dragon, took to the air and began its flight down from the spine of the world, heading towards Dugan's Hole. They're standing now, all of you are now standing on this this terrace at the entrance to Sunblight, looking out over the darkness, just being able to make out the lights in the far distance of where Ten Towns is. You see the dragon now as a large blackened silhouette against the lighter snow, shadow blending with darker shadow. As it flies away, you and the 3 kobolds stand there. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
So I brought this up in our chat, but I think even if Talmud wouldn't necessarily have the idea, I would like Fig to try to calculate how long the dragon is going to be before it reaches the first of 10 towns, based on the mechanism that we witnessed. Like, I don't know if that's possible, but if anybody can do it, I'm pretty sure Fig could.
So you're asking Fig to calculate how much time you have.
Yeah, just grab a hold of Fig. How long is it going to be before it reaches the first town? You know, that's Talmud's way of saying everything that I just explained.
Fig stands there a moment, cocking his head back and forth. You can see and actually hear the gears turning. You can see that blue arcane energy that runs through his body, in stark contrast to the night, as you have been. I can probably figure this out. I will need to see the war table again. And Fig turns on his heel and heads back through the door down the hall. It wasn't that far where you had been directed to the room that had the map. Just as a reminder, this room you entered into is about 30 feet wide and 20 feet deep. There's this major sized, I can talk. this massive table in the middle of the room that has a illustration in high detail of all of 10 towns as seen from above. There's a track in the table that the dragon sits on this metal rod, and you had pulled, I believe, Talmud, you had pulled the lever that had sent it on its course. If it wasn't you, it probably would have been you.
That makes sense. That tracks.
It might have been Fig. I don't remember who did it. There is, on the other side of the table, there is a set of double doors that leads to another room. But as soon as you all enter into this room, Fig begins looking carefully at the map, and he begins to walk around the table. And you see Fig's recently created simulacrum is moving around the table almost in a mirror-like fashion. So there's always at an opposite point, and whatever motions Fig makes, the simulacrum makes. As he begins tracing the route, and I'm going to... We'll roll a intelligence. Somebody roll me a d20 and add... Just roll me a d20 and tell me what you get. Anybody?
I'll do.
I rolled a 19.
There you
go. Okay. Excellent. Fig has a plus 10 to investigation. So that's a 29 as Fig is calculating it out. And this is information that I will be able to give to you at a later time if necessary. But if somebody wants to write this down, of course, you can do that as well. Where did it go? Just had it open. There it is. Fig makes a complete revolution of the table, comes back to the beginning, and this time walks over to the lever and pulls it again. The mechanical dragon begins to follow the path. From Sunblight to Dugan's Hole will take 2 hours. From Dugan's Hole to Goodmead will take 30 minutes. Goodmead to East Haven, 1.5 hours. East Haven to Caer Dineval, 1 hour. Caer Dineval to Caer Konig, 1 hour. Caer Konig to Tourmaline, 2 hours. Tourmaline to Lonelywood, 30 minutes. Lonelywood to Bremen, 1.5 hours. Bremen to Targos, 30 minutes. Targos to Bryn Shander, 30 minutes. Bryn Shander to Sunblight, 3.5 hours.
So we have 2 hours before this thing reaches the first of the towns. That means we've got... He turns to like try to find Drown. Your helmet, it can still do the teleporting hopping thing, right?
Yes.
So you could zap us over to the town right before this attack is going to happen.
Yes, but it will be dangerous. I have never been to the first town the dragon is going to attack. I don't know anything other than its description.
Well,
I can attempt it, but it will be dangerous.
I think there's not going to be a way to this. It's not dangerous.
How far down the path is it until it gets to one of the towns that we've actually been to?
I've been to Lonelywood and Bryn Shander. Bryn Shander is the last town in its path.
It is going to be 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.5 hours of total flight time before it gets to Lonelywood. Fig looks up at you and says, My calculations have only accounted for the time of flight of the dragon. I do not know how long it will take in each town.
Right. But 2 hours might give us enough time to be able to go and find Vi and stop whatever it is that she's doing before we can then leave. At the very least,
will stopping or slaying Vi stop the dragon?
Maybe, if we're lucky. But I don't
is
know
that
if we would
something
even
we can
know.
really risk?
I do not think we can. It seems to be a construct.
I don't know what kind of power she's got at her disposal, but going from a fight against a powerful spellcaster against a mechanical dragon, that's going to be a hard back-to-back fight.
I think our best option is to use the helmet to teleport to Bryn Shander, and from there we can traverse to Dugan's Hole, hopefully before the dragon arrives. It may be close.
What is the travel time to Durgan's Hole from Bryn Shander?
I imagine that Fig would know that. As Fig is referencing his internal maps.
His internal PDFs.
Mumbling something about multiple tabs in D&D Beyond. Fig Fig would say I believe we would have passed through Dugan's Hole on our path here had we not encountered those barbarians.
But we did.
That would put it at about 2 days' distance by dog sled from Bryn Shander. And 2 days by dog sled from here.
So that's not going to work.
What do you need for your spell to be more accurate, Drown?
An accurate description of the destination.
Fig, whenever you
seeing it visually, if possible.
The three kobolds, if they're still around, you said that this map, this depiction is accurate of this area, didn't you?
So the whole time you guys have been having this conversation, and doing all of this, the kobolds have been futzing around with the other set of doors, and when you go to talk to them, you realize that the other set of doors in the north part of this room are ajar, and the kobolds are nowhere to be seen.
Well, there goes that idea.
You can, Cantriel, you can definitely hear that the kobolds are in the other room. You hear some rustling around, and you hear the sound of glass breaking. And immediately in Draconic, you hear, "I didn't do that. No, you did it. It wasn't me." They seem to be getting into some kind of trouble in the other room.
Right. Well, you figured the timing of everything out. I'm going to see what Tweedledee, Duh, and Dumb are doing in there. She'll go in and see what the kobolds are getting themselves into. Because knowing Meepo, chances are his clutch mates are very similar.
So you, Cantriel, you peek into this other room, You see a room that is at least a third larger than the room you just came from. It's 30 feet by 30 feet. There are braziers burning in this room, with that keep it quite comfortably warm in here. On the northern wall is a massive stone bed covered in furs. And up above the bed, you see in a shallow niche, there is a bas relief of a giant scowling Durgar crutching its teeth. At the foot of the bed is a flat-topped iron trunk that has a bulky padlock on it. And one of the kobolds is messing around with the padlock, seems to be trying to pick it. There's a couple other pieces of furniture in this room that have various sundry items on there. This appears to be a bedchamber of someone, and one of them is over by this dresser, seems to have knocked over something, and another one is messing around with what looks to be a closet door on the western wall.
Are you supposed to be in here?
They all sort of jump up and look over at you. Wait, it's not your room.
Is it your room?
We live here now, so it would be our room.
I don't believe it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be bouncing around trying to pick locks and knocking things over and blaming each other.
I don't mean that it's my room. But it's my room, our room. One of the others pipes in. Now, because we live here.
And no one's claimed it before you.
One of them goes over to the bed, just kind of with this the whole time. Is the one that was over by the closet. Gives you this sort of defiant look, matching your gaze the whole time it walks over to the bed, and then with its tail, it just swats at the bed, and you just see soot and dust fly up, and then it just goes,
Well, at least you didn't pee on it.
Two of them point at the one over by the dresser. You always the one who pees bed.
Since you're all so good about getting into places, might you know of a place that would have schematics for that thing that just flew away?
They all they kind of look at each other and they hunch a little bit. In the forge. Down below. That's where she make it.
Is she still there?
She never leaves. Day and night she work on it. But she has others down there with her. Kobolds, but not kobolds. She uses those dark stones to make them meaner. We don't go down there.
Could you possibly use that trick that you so cleverly had going before we met?
They look at you for a second. All right. Well, clearly Yupo is the brains of the operation. As they kind of look around at each other a little confused, and then all of a sudden Yupo goes, ah, and makes some kind of a hand gesture, and all three of them come huddling up, and they stack up on top of each other, and they pull their cloaks around, and they pull this, and then right before you, they vanish.
Yes, that one.
What do you want us to do?
Could you sneak down there and find the instructions for how that creature got made, or notes or something to give us a better understanding of what has gone into it and what we need to do to stop it?
You want us to sneak into the forge?
Yes.
They reappear and immediately start climbing off of each other's shoulders. No. Nope. 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 Nope.
Then can I borrow that?
They will kill us. You want our coat?
To borrow. Not to keep.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay. Oh, that's right. She's got ridiculous persuasion. So that's going to be a 23.
Oh, good Lord. There's no point in rolling because their charisma is low enough. You use it to sneak into the forge?
Yes.
So we don't have to.
Correct.
They practically stumble over each other, grabbing the coat and bringing it over to you. As they hand it to you, this coat is basically think Hagrid's moleskin jacket kind of thing. It's kind of this like oil skin, so kind of weatherproof. It is bulky, bulky for 3 kobolds, but it would still, even on your form, it'll sit kind of bulky. It's mottled gray in color, and it smells a little bit like kobold piss.
Mm-hmm.
But it is essentially a cloak of invisibility.
What's the fastest way to get into the forge?
Oh, well, you could go down the big shaft. That's how the dragon flew out. That goes straight down to the forge. But there are elevators too. The iron boxes.
I bet those are noisy, huh?
They run constantly, all the time. The mechanisms are upstairs, and we just let them go. They travel up all the way to the top. They stop. They come down here to this level. They stop. Then they go all the way down to the bottom, and they stop. And then they come back, and so on, and so on. You have about a minute on each level before it moves on to the next. There was an elevator in the room where we met you.
This is true. So if they keep going, then it's just this constant droning sound that wouldn't alert anyone.
Right.
Good.
So there's this awkward moment where they're all 3 just sort of standing there, just kind of rocking back on their heels. And you see Uspo just sort of takes a side step and is right back at the trunk and sort of slowly reaches down and immediately just starts fiddling with the lock again, trying to pick the lock on this trunk.
Can Cantriel try and pick it for him?
Sure.
Okay. want sleight of hand there?
Dexterity. Do you have thieves' tools? Are you proficient in thieves' tools?
No. This is just Cantriel trying to
Okay, so
help him out.
he has thieves' tools, so you can use his thieves' tools. But because you're not proficient, you'll just roll a straight dexterity check.
Okay. That's a 17.
So as you sort of reach in there, Uspo just sort of looks at you and hands over the picks and the rake and everything, and you just you get in there and you start feeling around, and then you hear, and Uspo looks at you and his jaw drops because he knows that's the sound of his pick breaking. What did you do?
She quickly mends it. Nothing.
So you fix the pick, but the broken piece is still inside the lock. So you didn't really help.
God, if I didn't take it out. If I kept it in the lock and then just quick mend it to fuse it back together.
Make me just a roll a d20 and add your magic modifier. It's not what it's called. What the heck is that called?
Spellcasting ability modifier.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, that's not a thing. It is now. Add your magic modifier.
Make with the magic whammy.
15.
You kind of have to pull a little bit harder. You feel like when you mended it in the lock, you almost melded it to the lock mechanism itself. But you're able to pop it out. Uspo reaches to take the lock picks back from your hand. You can go to the forge now. I will deal with this.
All right. Bye.
So while that has been going on, Fig has been in the room with all of you, looking carefully at the map, looking it over in detail, and seems to be gauging distances, trying to figure out something. And
Fig doesn't necessarily have the ability to cast scrying, does he?
As I'm looking through his spells right now, I do not see what level scry is that, like 2 or 3?
Fifth.
Oh, fifth.
Mm-hmm. Being able to look wherever you want is
yeah. Oh, we got dimension door.
It's a mystery breaker.
That's 5th level. No, I don't see any scrying. I'm not seeing anything that allows for any kind of divination.
Wait, crystal ball or anything like that.
No. Let me look through. Let's see. Okay, nope. That's short distance teleportation.
All right. So my other thought is I'm going to approach the kobolds. Actually, I might go back to the kobold queen. She seems to have her shit together at least. Yeah. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to go back to use drill.
All right, so you head back down towards that dining hall, and right where she was, Yusdrael is seated at the table, continuing to eat. The miniature Shardolin dragon is sort of curled up on an edge of the table as you enter the room.
All right. Yeah, so Drown will sort of stoop through the door. God, these are Duergar-sized doors, or are they big?
That
like big, oversized dwarven architecture, like they like to do with big vaulted ceilings and crap.
That is a great question. Let me just check because I don't remember what it said.
Basically,
so
just how
all
much
of the
does
ceilings,
he have to, like, squeeze to get through the doorways?
Yeah, all of the ceilings in here are 10 feet high. In the tunnels, in the rooms, they're 15 feet high. I think that knowing and actually the Dawnbringers some of them know a little bit about Duergar. Having encountered them before, they have the ability to change size. These are going to be larger doors.
Cool.
So yeah,
he might have to. Yeah, all right, great. So he'll just kind of stride into the room and look at Yuzdrael and say, "You are familiar with this place and its operation, yes?"
Yes.
Do they take supplies from the 10 towns?
They have.
Have they taken anything from Dugan's Hole?
Dugan's Hole is the closest place to here.
Yes.
The Druid sends some of her animals to Dugan's Hole to take what they will in the night. And since it's always night here, they take what they want when they want.
Where are these animals? Are they here at the fortress?
They come and go. I don't think some of the animals like her very much. She gives them... She makes it so they can talk. And they think for themselves. And then they learn that she is not a very nice person.
That stands to reason.
But some of them are scared of her. You want to speak to some of the animals?
Yes.
If you can find one, good luck. I have not seen any for a while. One of the kobolds mutters something, because there's 3 kobolds in here that are working as chefs. One of them says something, walks over, and points at one of the dishes where you can see there's a nice venison roast, and she just kind of looks over at it. I haven't seen the living one of them in quite a while.
Wow. Okay.
Why are you interested in their supplies?
I need anything that was taken from the settlement of Dugan's Hole. I don't care what it is, just something that came from that town.
There are supplies in here. It is a good chance that most everything of the recent supplies will have come from there.
Does that town produce anything in particular?
What do I know about the towns in this place?
I do not know.
I will tell you. Not much. I am not from here.
Are there any of your subjects that might know more? That's fine. And I'll just sort of turn on my heel and head out and find Baron. No, Baron.
You hear a muttering of something about
dogs?
Impatience as you leave.
Did we leave Baron with the dogs, or is Baron with us?
As far as I know, he came with you. I think you left Artemis.
Archimedes.
That's the dead sister.
Hermes.
Yeah. You left Hermes with the dogs at the base of the mountain.
Insert Greek name here. Right. Yeah, I'll go find Baron. He's been in Icewind Dale longer. He might have picked up more about something.
So while all of this is going on, looks like the doors were kind of like left in the map room. I'm going to go see what the kobolds are up to. And if that lock is kind of on the outside, maybe I'll just try and smash it with a hammer.
Yeah, so you go in there. Cantriel, I imagine you're either still there or you would have, unless you came back to the map room. We'll say you go in there about the time that you've just given the lockpicks back to Uspo. So yeah, you see one of the kobold is over by the this closet door, and there's the one. It's pretty much halfway across the room at the foot of this giant bed, messing around with this lock.
So is it a lock that's like outside the thing, or is it built?
Yeah, it's a padlock.
Could I examine it with my forge abilities and see if I can sense any kind of weaknesses, to see if it's something that I could attempt to break off, or is it like a real sturdy kind of nonsense?
Go ahead and do a intelligence history roll.
It's a 16.
It's a very well made lock. It either is going to require some magic expert lock picking or a very well placed blow.
Hey, Talmud.
I?
You're known for destroying things with a hammer.
Well, I do what I can.
I know you're used to hitting big things. How good are you hitting small? And I point towards the lock.
Well, you just need this lock destroyed, or you want the whole chest done in, or?
Well, we don't know what's inside.
Ah, careful it is. He's gonna line up almost like a golfer, like standing beside the chest with his maul pointed down. And he's gonna rock backwards and slam it home.
Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Oh.
Did you crit the lock?
No, I rolled a 1. Normally, I would spin a domain die, but I think I'm going to let this ride.
Thorgarn, make a dexterity saving throw.
Dexterity saving throw. That's fabulous.
Uspo just made one.
14.
Roll damage against Thorgarn as you completely whiff the lock, swing around, and drive your hammer into Thorgarn's breastplate.
Yeah. Let's see. 2d.
It's a critical failure. If I was a dick DM, I would make you roll all that lightning damage, but you trigger the magical. I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm not raging, luckily. So, and yeah, you're not a dragon. So 5 + 8, that's 13.
There's an evil druid in the basement. A Shardolin dragon just took to the air, and their biggest problem right now is a stone chest. Nobody can get into this thing.
Thorgarn has no idea what to do now. I don't have any magical abilities of teleportation. I think, going and chasing the druid when there's lives out there might not be the best idea. I am trying desperately not to just tear off running towards the town.
Somebody roll me a d20.
I rolled an 11.
All right. That's one. Somebody else roll me a d20. Jeremy's calling that it.
Oh, I thought he was saying he rolled a 10.
I rolled a 1.
Okay. What'd you roll, V? Wow.
2.
All right.
Our dice are on fire tonight, folks.
I was having you guys roll to see whether or not any of the kobolds would find a key since they're rummaging through everything. You guys are not meant to get into this chest, apparently.
No.
So, hold on. Let me check something.
What kind of stone is it?
it's stone of the mountain. Your dwarven stone cunning would tell you that it's worked stone from the very stone that makes this mountain. Probably fashioned, it looks to be fashioned entirely of a single piece, probably from a boulder when they excavated to create this place. Wow. Fig does not have knock.
Does Fig have stone shape prepared still?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, Fig does have stone shape prepared.
Fig has the key.
Even though he doesn't have the need to do so, I just imagine the commotion having brought Fig, and the door just sort of goes the rest of the way open, and you hear Fig go in a mimicry of a clearing throat, walks forward. Oh. You know, if you are having problems with some things like this, you just need to ask for help. And he reaches out and touches the chest, and basically the entire lid of the chest just goes and shapes down and forms into just what looks like two pillars of stone on the side. Uspo and Weepo and Yupo just look wide-eyed at Fig. There you go. You can now see inside that the chest is empty. I'm just kidding.
That would have been priceless.
There's a single scroll in there that says the real treasure is the friends we made along the way.
Your treasure's in another castle.
No, you actually see a handful of things in here. There are a pair of dwarven sandals carved from obsidian, worth 250 gold pieces. A very nice quilted smoking jacket, sized for a dwarf and sewn with 50 gemstones all along it. This bedazzled smoking jacket is worth 500 gold pieces. There is a malachite beard comb set with a malachite beard comb set with 7 red garnets, worth 750 gold pieces. A hookah made out of platinum and star sapphire, worth 2,500 gold pieces. And a rolled up leather scroll. And you can see the leather itself is rolled up, but you can see inside it there appears to be parchment on the inside of this leather. That's what you see in the trunk.
I was not prepared to have my loot document open for the party treasure. So I've got a malachite beard comb, 750 gold, a hookah made of platinum and star sapphires, 2,500 gold. There was dwarven sandals, a jacket.
It's in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Lots of loot in there.
So what is the leather scroll?
Are you taking all of the loot then?
I would imagine.
I kind of imagine Fig just automatically taking off his hat and holding it out in front of you. Just sort of, Fig knows the routine. So
Talmud kind of like elbows Thorgarn and kind of like discreetly motions to the 3 kobolds that are standing like right there.
So we want to, well, I mean, we were the ones that technically got into it. You want to give them the smoking jacket?
You'd hear Cantriel in the next room, for the love of God, give them something.
He'll turn to the three of them. Is there one of these pieces that you would like?
They start looking. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, they start looking, and they're whispering amongst themselves. No, that one, damn it, no. We can. I'm gonna roll a d20 and see which one they are most interested in. Let's see. That would be 1 through 5, 6 through 10. All three of them, after whispering, they're like, yeah, okay. They turn, and as one, they point to the malachite beard comb.
Are you kidding me? You don't have a beard. You don't have hair.
Yet.
What do you mean, yet?
We are very young from our clutch. Maybe our beard hasn't come in yet.
You're a kobold. You've got scales.
We are dragonkin. Have you not heard of bearded dragons?
No. Dragons don't have beards.
Thorgarn. It's just a comb. It's all right. It's all right.
Fine.
Look at the hookah.
I don't care about the hookah. I wanted to
It's
go.
worth more.
I hand them the beard comb.
Okay. So you hand them the beard comb, and they, even with that, they're peering over the edge. They're looking down into the chest to make sure you got everything. And as you're pulling these out, the hookah's a little bit larger. Who's pulling the stuff out? Are you pulling it out, Talmud? Or are you Thorgarn?
I would imagine it's the two dwarves.
Okay. So as you pull that last piece out, you lift the hookah up. You hear this, and I need everybody in this room, in this area, which I know is the two dwarves. Cantriel established by way of yelling from the other room that she's not in here. Drown, you had gone to talk to Yersdrael and are probably coming back. So that's going to be the two dwarves, the three kobolds, and Fig that all need to make Constitution saving throws.
So I would imagine if the two dwarves are there as well as Fig, they're certainly within 10 feet. So they get a +1 to their...
Also, Talmud and Thorgarn, you will be making your saves at advantage.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask. If
Yep.
it was poison or if it was acid.
Yes, it is very clearly a noxious-looking poison gas as it pops up.
So 21.
I rolled a 19 for a total of 27.
Okay, you're good. Let me see. Fig. I'm going to use the roller. Fig is going to use a domain die because Fig got a 7. Maybe I should have one of you roll that so I'm not responsible for damaging Fig. Somebody roll it's a d20 plus 4 for Fig's con save. Oh, hold on a second, because I did...
22. Oh. Also advantage, right?
Yeah, because Fig is advantage on that. So that'll be a pass then. I won't spend the domain die. I'll count that roll as the advantage. So I need to give you that back. Because I was just reading that on the character sheet. However, I do worry about the Poe clan. I forget what their con save is. They are... Ooh, okay. Here we go. That is a 14, 15... Oh, and a 17. Okay. The kobolds all seem to be... They've all passed. So that's going to be... a total for everybody that was in the effect and passed that save. You are all going to take 3, 11, 23, 11 total points of poison damage.
You round up, right?
Yeah, for damage.
So 11 is the total, or 11 is...
11 is half of what I rolled, which was 22. So I rolled 22. Take 11.
So if we...
Oh, no.
But if we're resistant to the damage for poison, do we also have it again?
Yes.
Ah,
okay.
Yes. So you will take 6 if you're resistant to the poison. Fig is resistant to poison, so we'll also take 6. So with half being 11, these kobolds Uspo, Weepo, and Upo, basically because they were leaning in looking at this, this gas just goes and you see them kind of blinking and looking at each other, and they're kind of looking at you, and you all seem to be reacting just fine, and they look at one another and they go, and then you watch as all 3 of their eyes roll back in their heads and they collapse. All 3 of these kobolds had 10 total hit points. And they just took 11 points of damage. So, Thorgarn,
I'll stay alive.
as they collapse, you do see that one of them, as his hand falls to the ground, the gemstone encrusted malachite beard comb falls from his limp hand.
I'm not gonna take it from him. I'll cast Spare the Dying one by one.
Okay, so they're all stabilized and unconscious. You could leave them here. You could put them in the bed. You could bring them to Yusdrael. Whatever you want to do.
So I'll put him in the bed. I'll put the comb on the nightstand. I'm assuming there's a nightstand.
You couldn't just hear me telling Archie, "Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a screen."
I know. I just looked over. I'm like, what happened? Your mountains collapsed. You guys are dealing with with kobolds, and Dan's dealing with his goblin.
It's all right. I had a bee attack me, in the stream a little bit ago. So, no, a B, not a V. Different letter of the alphabet. So I don't know if you heard the thud, thud, thud about 20 minutes ago or so, but that was me whacking a bee.
Oh, geez. So,
and we somehow lost Dan.
In addition to he's fixing his screen, I imagine. You've got all this treasure. You left the comb on the dresser, and you placed the limp forms of the kobolds on the bed. The last piece of the treasure was this rolled up piece of leather. And which one of you would be inspecting that?
I mean, if it's papers, probably Fig would make the most sense.
Okay. So Fig would take a look at it, and I need to check Fig's languages. Okay, Fig does read this.
Thorgarn would be there as well. I mean, he's certainly interested. This is a Dorgar place, Dorgar Smiths. So he would definitely be looking to see if there's anything Smith related.
What you see on this scroll, as it's unfurled, there is, as I said, a piece of parchment inside this leather, sort of tucked in. And on this parchment are written 8 3 are written 8 series of single digits in pairs or in groups of 3s. 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 2, 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, 4, 8, 2, 7, 5, 6, 3, 7, 1, 4, 2, 9, 9. The first 4 are in one row with the second 4 in a row beneath them, and I've placed all those numbers in the chat for you. And Big Bearded Nerd in the chat says 8675309. Just to mix up the numbers. Fig kind of looks at this, and it's worth noting that the Dwarvish or the numerals are in Dwarvish on this paper. Fig just looks at you and says, another complication. I was unable to determine any useful information for getting us to Dugan's Hole. Based on the maps and what we can see from outside this fortress, we can only guess as to how far it is. Did you voice your plan, Drown, to the others?
Which plan?
You were talking about supplies, looking for supplies, and
I mean, I was.
I just didn't remember if you said anything to anybody or if that was just you.
So no, I think that was just me talking to. Well, I mean, we kind of went back and forth on what I needed. That I could, if I had a thing from the place we were going, that would work. So. My other thought on that, I don't know if you saw it in the chat, is if there are any bottles of mead in this place, then there's a chance it might have been taken from Good Mead, which looks like it's down the road from Dugan's Hole, which might be faster to travel between the two.
You did not see any mead with Yrstrael. But you have like also not fully
or something.
Investigated this level.
Yeah.
And there's elevators to other levels, which sounds like a great place to pick up after the break. We're just about to break time, so we're going to go ahead and take a roughly 10-minute break as we get ready to continue. As I need a break apparently. We'll come back in about 10 minutes and we'll see what they're going to do. Jeez. All right, we will see you on the other side of the break. Stick around. And we're back. So, you've got 3 unconscious kobolds in the bed. You've picked up a little bit of loot, a mysterious scroll full of numbers. And you've got, from what you've been told, the Druid Vi is in the levels down below. But the Shardolin dragon, known as Belak the Malevolent, is in flight. Since Belak left, you have spent about, we'll say that you've spent about 15 minutes doing calculations, fiddling with locks, pulling treasure, and with Drown, with you running down, talking to Yuzdrael. All of that's only been about 15 minutes. So you got about an hour and 45 minutes based on fixed calculations before the dragon reaches Dugan's Hole. What do you want to do?
Did Cantriel go down in the sneaky robe to go do anything?
No,
Nope.
haven't had a chance to even consider doing that yet with the timing of everything.
So if we cannot find anything to use to key the teleport off of, the best thing I've got is we just roll the dice and hope for the best. Count on the generosity of fate to see us through.
Okay.
We're just going.
So, what's the plan? Because I have one where we can try and I can sneak down and try and get how this thing was created. See if there are notes or a book or something.
If you think that will be helpful. I suspect we are just going to have to kill it.
Yes, I was going to see if there was weaknesses or anything like that. But if not, we'll leave the invisible cloak here if you'd rather, and see what happens.
Now, we do know that just touching the metal for any length of time can definitely mess up the head. You saw what it did to the barbarians. You saw that it definitely had me going screwy. I don't know what a creature made out of this is going to be like.
Not good.
Well, that's certainly an understatement. If we don't think that it would take you too long to slink down there and gather some information, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'm also a little leery.
It might be more time than we're willing to put into it. So let's just
she'll fold the coat up and tuck it on top of the like the map table.
Lying over their bodies in the bed.
They are stable, correct? Or were
Yes.
they?
Yeah, they're stabilized.
Got it.
After a little bit of Thorgarn's Spare the Dying and kind of tucking them up in the bed, eventually you would hear the soft snoring of the 3 kobolds as they are unconscious and resting.
Very good. Well, then when you are ready.
So the plan is then we're headed into this place, and the first thing I think we need to do is warn them. Whatever time they can use to prepare, I don't know how they'll do so, but it's better than surprising them with it.
It is unlikely they will be able to mount any kind of effective defense. It may be best to move them all into the sturdiest building or defensible location and allow us to deal with the creature.
Agree.
Maybe even gives those that want to leave time to do so.
Yes. Are we ready then? Okay. So
Seems like
Drown.
yesterday that we fought
Oh, sorry.
a big dragon. Now we're gonna go fight another one. All right.
It feels like months.
wait, before we go, we want to start warning everyone, right?
Aye.
Yes.
I can at least get Lonelywood, right?
Where we start off first?
No, we're gonna.
What was the first one? No, because Cantriel has sending.
Yeah, you could sending to the town speaker of Brinshander, the town speaker of Lonelywood.
Yeah. Give me a couple
There you go.
minutes. So Cantriel will message both speakers of each town.
Okay.
How many words?
Yeah, this is the 25-word message for each casting. So who are you messaging first?
Lonelywood first.
And who are you messaging?
Town speaker.
Nimsy.
Each one.
Nimsy Huddle.
Nimsy Huddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Large dragon on its way. Huge threat. Get everyone out of there now. I'll explain later. Take care. Cantriel. Cantriel's one. It's 21.
Oh dear. A large dragon, you say? Well, if it's not one thing, it's another. Thank you. And be safe.
Okay. And basically the same message for Brinshander.
Brinshander, you're messaging Duvessa Shane, the town speaker, who you had met her as well.
Yep.
She doesn't seem she seems like her demeanor has a little more serious tone to it. I had hoped when you took care of the white dragon, our dragon woes were done. We shall rally the militia and be on standby and on watch. But I do hope you can take care of it before it ever gets here. That is her response to you.
Okay.
Yeah, you sent it to the wrong person. They're like, you said what now?
Okay. So, all right. Those two are at least taken care of.
All right. If everyone's ready, then Drown will use the Helm of Teleportation to blip all of us. So he'll take a moment, look at the map, kind of get the idea of where Dugan's Hole is sort of fixed in his mind, and use that to try and key in as best he can.
All right.
So that's going to be a percentile roll on the description line of the table, I believe.
Yep.
I think that's about the best we can manage.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Well, that would be a mishap, so I'm going to burn a domain die and reroll. 82. We're on target.
82 is indeed puts you comfortably inside the range of on target. Drown, what does this look like as you're teleporting from inside this place?
What does it look like to us? I don't know. Helm of Teleportation. So it's noticeably different from Drown's normal magic. So it's like a sort of a bluish white flare of light that starts at the helmet, flashes out, encompasses all of us, and our vision kind of whites out. And then there's this swirling of blue-white misty energy, and that sort of swallows us up, and it occurs in reverse at our destination, and we all appear there.
There we see for a moment the very small and quiet town of Dugan's Hole. one of the closest towns to the spine of the world, and outside of the larger circle of 10 towns. There's little more than 20 or 30 homesteads in this place. It sits docked on the Red Waters, with the docks leading up through the town. The people are in for the night. Lights burning, torches burning, lanterns, lamps from inside several homes. The cold wind is blowing. And suddenly, there's a creaking of wood as all of you appear on a wooden walkway directly in front of a large house. There's a little bit of that disorientation as you, I imagine for many of you, your ears pop with the pressure change of being so high up in the mountains and suddenly back down low on the ground. There's a dramatic change in temperature. It almost feels a little bit warmer down here relatively to being high up on the mountain. And just like that, there you stand in the midst of this small town.
A lot of these places have like some kind of centralized bell or horn or some form of like way of raising an alarm. That's going to be Talmud's like first priority, is to try to find whatever that might be or whoever might have such a thing.
You don't have to look far. The large house that you've landed in front of has, out in front of it, has such a bell. It stands on a couple of large timbers that are raised up. It sits up about 12 or 15 feet. It's not a very big bell, but the rope is hanging down, sort of looped around. Just as you're looking around, you get the sense very quickly, this town is so small, and because of the precision of Drown's teleportation, you landed smack dab in the middle of town, and in all likelihood, you're standing outside of the speaker's house.
So, Thorgarn's going to begin looking for anything that looks the closest to fortifications, balustrades, fences, anything that, looks like we could kind of get behind. I'm pretty good at survival, so remembering tracks, are one thing, but I was going to try and look at the map and triangulate where I think we are versus where the dragon should be coming, and looking to try to get that stuff in that location.
You begin looking around. You don't see anything that looks at all like fortifications. This is a very small and remote building. You immediately, Thorgarn, as you're starting to look around, you hear, as Talmud, you hear the sound of his boots as he runs across these boards on this boardwalk to where this bell stands, and immediately the sharp ringing of the bell begins to fill the air. It's a clear night, so the bell is ringing loudly through the streets of this town. Within moments, you see and hear the front door of this homestead open up, and an older looking human woman, slender, a little bit hunched over, but more as she's holding a lantern up and trying to peer out at all of you, She has the look of a weather-worn person who has spent a lot of time outdoors in this area. As you see her face cast in the light, the light emphasizing the lines and wrinkles of age on her face as she looks out at you. What? Who on the nine hells is ringing the bell? Wait, who are you? And what are you what? Explain yourselves. As she's saying this, and sort of fumbling, she does, you see her reaching back inside the doorway, and she now holds a spear in her hand. She doesn't hold it threateningly, she just holding it more like almost like a staff. As she's looking at you, and for God's sake, stop ringing the bell.
Well, now that we have your attention, huge dragon flying over here, about to attack. Dire situation. You need to ready the people. Either flee or protect yourselves. One of the two.
I'm sorry.
That's why we're ringing the bell.
Yes, a dragon, you say?
Yes, one that's been put together. Large, made of the crazy crystals and fun things like that. Chardolin.
She starts to say something to you. She's kind of shaking her head like she's almost dismissively. But when you say Chardolin, she immediately snaps her head looking right at you. What do you know of that?
That you don't want to touch it or be around it for too long because things can happen.
Oh, no, shit. I know that. I asked what you know
Right.
about it.
Well, I just told you.
That is mostly what we know. We also know that someone has built a dragon out of it and has sent it here to destroy your town. It is coming.
You hear
like
from
the crazy crystals.
You hear from the sides as more people are coming out of their homes to see, and there are a few people that seem to be pulling on cloaks, and there's at least one or two that are kind of hobbling along, pulling on boots, and spears and bows and stuff, are strapping on belts, fumbling, as about a dozen people come running up. And one woman, she stands about 6 feet tall. She has her blonde hair is kind of pulled up into a tight bun. She does not wear an eye patch, but she has a severe scar cutting across her right eye, or where her right eye would be. As she comes forward, she's put together. She's not struggling to put on her gear. She looks like she rolled out of bed like this. As she comes forward towards all of you, who was it that said dragon?
I did.
And it's not the great white dragon that's been plaguing these lands.
No, that one's dead. Took care of that one a few days ago.
We have already killed our Beatrice. This is a different one.
You say this so matter-of-factly.
Cantriel pulls out her dragon scale from Arviatres that she's been keeping in her satchel.
It's dead.
I pull off the hat from Fig's head, and I pull out like the 3.5-foot horn that is potentially going to be a staff at some point.
She looks closely at the scale, then she looks as you pull this with a bit of astonishment at the entire action of pulling this hat off and then reaching in and pulling out this massive, too big for the hat horn.
Gimli Poppins over here.
The one eyebrow above her one good eye sort of cocks upward. And she kind of looks around at all of you, just giving you the once-over.
I can't believe I'm doing this. We're the Dawnbringers.
Well, I was going to assume that you were adventurers of some renown. We don't get a lot of people so uniquely dressed in these parts. Eyes lingering on Fig in particular. But you have a name to go with it. Very well, then. What do you know of this dragon? What can you tell us of this dragon?
Built by a druid.
A druid.
Yes. Vi.
She looks over at the townspeaker, the older woman from still standing up on the porch holding the lantern. She says, up that way. Speaker Dumut, a druid could explain the troubles we've been having. Yes, a druid would explain the animals that have been stealing our food.
They talk.
Okay.
Also, they think.
Yeah, I was going to say, striking up conversations by any chance?
Exactly. A mismatched pairing of winter wolves and a mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
They've been taking our food, and our scouts have seen them heading into the direction of the mountain.
That would make sense.
That's where we just came from.
How did you get past our scouts?
Magic.
There's an easy explanation.
Right, adventurers. Well, what do you expect us to do against the dragon? This is our militia, and it accounts for 1/4 of our town.
We're
You
going
have
to
someone
do
who's a
dragon.
fast runner.
Wait, don't talk all at once.
First things first, you need someone fast who's a runner to warn the other towns. Let them know something is on the way. We're starting here, move it along down the line.
How do we know where it'll go from here?
We don't. So if you have more than one, that's even better.
We suspect that this is where the dragon is heading first. That is why we came here to fight the dragon. While you hole up, run, do what you need to do. And if by somehow it gets through us, the other towns are warned, and you're not right at it when it attacks.
Fig speaks up. The dragon will go from here to Goodmead. From there to East Haven, and begins to lay out the flight path of the dragon. She looks to Fig and looks to the rest of you. Are you certain of this? Yes. All right. Immediately. She moves over to some of her other people and says, they immediately gather around her. She begins talking to a handful of them. And very quickly you see that 3 of them are running off, and within moments you hear the sound of barking dogs and sleds being pulled out, and as they begin assembling simple 3-dog sled teams, and each one of them has their own sled, and they immediately take off out of town, heading to begin warning the others.
Talmud wants to kind of get in a side with the taller woman, the one that seems like a warrior, and kind of in a lowered voice where hopefully the rest of the people can't really hear. He's going to tell her, look, I know that you're a tough lot that live out here, but any of those who are not willing to die tonight need to leave, because this is going to be a very tough fight.
I appreciate your honesty. We do what we can to keep our town safe, And of late, we have been dealing with this mammoth and the wolves. As they... It's almost embarrassing to say. They've been extorting us for our food, but what can we do against creatures like this but give them what they demand of us? My job is to keep the people of Dugan's Hole safe. My runners will warn Goodmead and East Haven, Caer Dineval, and raise other alarms along the route. But based on what you've said, that dragon will be here in not much more than an hour. And you can already see her sort of scanning the skyline, looking up against the aurora in the sky. I appreciate your words, and trust me when I say, our only thing that we can do is to move everyone outside of the town. Do you think you can stop it?
We've been known to do odder things.
If it's going to happen, I think that our lot is the best chance that this town has. And I don't mean to sound like a braggart when I say it, but she's right. We've faced similar challenges before.
I can tell. You all wear the weight of many fights. I've seen your trophies. And if it is to be believed, you have destroyed the great white worm that plagues this region, then perhaps this dragon will be nothing for you. But I suspect that's not the case, and you know that. If what that one says is true about its flight path, then we will gather everyone and head to Bryn Shander. If it is last on its route, perhaps you will take care of it before it ever reaches that point.
That town is at least defensible.
Well, if Tefessa will let me back in the gates, then we have a chance. But we must go now. I must gather my people.
Good luck.
And you. And she turns, and to the remaining 9 militia, she begins barking orders as already the town speaker and everybody are starting to run from door to door, and you can hear the commotion. You hear a few more barking dogs. A few people are confused about what's happening, but very quickly, when this militia leader, when they see her moving through, she commands some respect, and people quickly stop their complaining, and they begin preparing their refugee escape from Dugan's Hole. What is your plan as all of this starts to unfold before you? You know you have, we'll say with the conversations and everything else that has happened, a total of about maybe 45 minutes has gone by. So you know you have a little over an hour before the dragon will be here.
I don't think I have anything much in the way of preparations to do. Just we know it's probably coming up from the south, so just kind of keeping an eye on that part of the sky and waiting to see if we can get a piece of this thing.
Have anything that could be long range weaponry, Did we happen to see, whether the thing's got like that glowing forge while it was flying away? Does it look like it's easy to spot?
I mean, you get the sense that it'll probably, based on what you saw from the miniature version, it would have to be fairly close before you can get a good look. That light's going to show up.
Okay.
Sorry, I am just scanning some of Fig's things. If there's anything else anybody wants to do by way of preparation, it sounds like you're planning to just wait it out for
I'll
this.
look and see, is there a ballista? Is there a trebuchet of any kind?
There are no siege weapons in this town.
I didn't think so, but I'm scrabbling here.
Did the little animatronic give any kind of indication as to like the function of like what this thing's breath weapon might be or anything like that? No.
All you saw was this dragon made of this chatelaine. You saw this forge-like grill on its face and the glow from within. You did not see any demonstration of what it might do with a breath weapon or any other attacks.
But it did, the little animatronic representation did glow from inside.
It seemed to, yes.
With like a fiery light, like an orange. Mm-hmm. Okay, then that's the assumption that Talmud's going to make, is that this thing breathes fire. God, this whole place is going to go up. Shit, I don't know. We've got to get the thing out of the sky. That's going to be the fire and getting it out of the sky. I think are going to be the two biggest challenges for us.
What are the options for getting elevation? There's obviously climbing up like on the roofs of houses. Are there any towers or anything like that around here?
There are no towers. The most significant thing outside of the town, and they don't really rise that high, is there is on the southwestern side of town, just outside of the edge of town, about 100 feet or so, there is a large circle of standing stones. There's one stone in the middle, and as people are gathering up, I imagine that somebody would be able to tell you that this place is called the 20 Stones of Thrun.
Sounds neat, but I don't think that will help.
There's nothing in there that's any sort of elevation. A couple of the houses, the biggest house is the house you're standing in front of, is a 2-story structure. Dugan's Hole sits along the Redwaters. There's just not really much in the way of elevation here. Let's see what can. Just looking at what Fig's abilities are. Yeah, stone shape only allows for the shaping of very small amounts of stone.
Does Fig have the fly spell or anything like that?
So Flig. Let me see what Fig has. Fig has the ability to summon an elemental spirit. So you could have a elemental spirit that it's medium sized, could fight along with you. The usual offensive spells: magic missiles, fireballs, chain lightning, Figbee's hand, couple of defensive things. There's Steel Wind Strike. Thank you, the Amphitheater, for the raid. I'll give you guys a domain die to use in your upcoming imminent dragon battle. Polymorph.
Jake,
Fig does have polymorph prepared. Fly is a 2nd level spell, isn't it?
Third.
No fly prepared. Slow is prepared. Levitate is the closest to fly.
Jake, I have a question. I can plug in the new Unearthed Arcana, right? For Cantriel.
Which
spells. The Draconic Spirit. Summon Draconic Spirit. It's a 5th level.
I don't know if those are even in D&D Beyond yet.
They aren't.
Don't think
That's
so.
why I haven't been able to. I haven't had time to put it in.
Yeah, and I don't have it open. Yeah, I mean, I had told you had access to that stuff because of your Draconic heritage, you have access to the UA stuff.
Okay, just want to make sure that was kosher for that particular spell.
Indeed. All right, well, Fig doesn't have a whole lot else in the way of spells. And then Fig has the Amulet of the Plains. A Potion of Gaseous Form, Cloak of Elvenkind, Magic Missile Wand. You've seen what Fig can do. Nothing really new. Not that Fig's not super powerful, but so eventually, and it does not take very long because of the small size of this town. Within another half an hour or so, the town is gathered. Their people are on dog sleds and some on foot with snowshoes. They're bundled for the weather. They don't take much with them. They know not to take a lot with them. It looks like the sleds are loaded with food and provisions, whatever paltry amount they had left. As everybody is heading out of town, the elderly town speaker and the leader of the militia stand once again in front of the house as you're looking around figuring out what to do. I understand how difficult it can be to fight a dragon. I've never done it, but just those words, fighting a dragon. She looks around, she looks back at her own homestead. These are just things. It is our home. It is where we live. But they, and she points at the crowd of people that are already beginning to flow out of the town. They are what's important. They will hopefully continue to live out their days because you came here and warned us. Do not worry about the structures of Dugan's Hole. Protect yourself, and please, if you can, stop it. When you defeat this dragon, come to Bryn Shander. Tell them you are looking for Speaker Edgar Dermot. She looks up at the warrior woman. I am ready to go. Come, take me to my sled, Brendar. The woman who you now know as Brendar, she just looks at all of you, and she once again looks up into the distance, almost as if she's hoping to catch sight of this dragon. And then she just gives you all a curt nod and leads Speaker Dermot to the refugees as they begin their exodus from Dugan's Hole. It's not long before the sounds of them receding is swallowed by the night and the snow. And it is just all of you waiting.
You said that this town was off of a place called the Red Waters?
I did.
What you said? Okay. Do they... Like, what kind of body of water is the Red Waters? Is it like a sea or just a lake?
The Red Waters is...
stream, right? River?
The Red Waters is... Red Waters is a... around Dugan's Hole, it's essentially a lake. A good-sized lake that's almost completely frozen over. Some of the ice has been broken out.
Okay.
But you would actually potentially remember from the detailed map of Icewind Dale from up in the fortress that there are rivers and streams feeding into and out of the Red Waters.
But it wouldn't be anything like where there would be harpoons because this is a whaling town or anything like that. So...
No, the docks, in fact, you would be able to head down and inspect the docks, and you find standard fishing gear, spears, barbed hooks, nets, that kind of thing. As far as defensible towns and places to mount a battle against a dragon, Dugan's Hole would be lowest on your list of places you'd want to be. And yet, here you are. So unless anybody wants to do anything else specifically, you are waiting. I would like everybody to make me... I'm gonna allow either perception or investigation because you're actively searching and keeping your eyes out for this. And because it is a clear night, I will allow for advantage for everybody. You've had plenty of time to prepare and you're keeping a vigilant eye out. So everybody roll me with advantage. I will go ahead and roll on the character sheet using Fig's plus 10 investigation.
Cantriel got a 29 for both.
Fig got a natural 20, so Fig got a 30 on investigation.
Ooh, nice.
I have a dirty 20 because I happen to roll a 19.
And I did miss your gift, sub Staffin, so thank you for that. I will make that adjustment as soon as I remember how to do it. So that's going to bump you up to 126 on your domain dice. It sounds weird to say, but it's so weird seeing you guys with such a low number compared to where you've been for so long.
You said we used 70 during the last dragon fight?
Yeah. That was fighting an ancient white dragon. So I'm gonna say I don't think anybody else beat a 30.
Got a dirty 20.
So
not a 30.
After about an hour passes, you would hear Fig, who has been standing stock still, waiting. Just his coat. I imagine in understanding the gravity of the situation, Fig would have altered the appearance of altered his exterior appearance in the clothing, so that everything seems to be in muted tones of grays and whites, to sort of blend in a little more, less ostentatious than he usually is dressed. And these sort of gray robes are just sort of, you hear him fluttering in the wind as he stands there. And then you hear Fig's voice just say, "There." And he points. And you see it much lower to the ground than you would have expected. Still quite high up, but you see the dark silhouette blotting out a portion of the stars and the ribbons of the aurora. And then you see it, Talmud and Thorgarn, the forge glow of its eyes and its mouth, as before too long you hear the powerful beating of its wings. And it swoops momentarily low as it comes in over the red water, the frozen area, and you see as it beats its powerful wings, swirls of snow rising up into the air. And you see this massive, dark crystalline dragon flying towards you. As it reaches the docks, you hear this screech escape out from its maw as it's charging forward, and it is upon you. Just checking something real quick. As it swoops in towards all of you, you see the glow brighten from its maw, and pure radiant firelight streams out, and you watch as the docks that are extending out into the river water begin shattering and exploding outward as it carves this path through these, and it swoops in low over the town. And I want everybody to make a wisdom saving throw as it flies over the town.
$18 for Cantriel.
Anyone within 10 feet of me gets a +1.
All right, so 18 for Cantriel. Drown, what you got?
A burnt domain die and a 17.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Talmud, what you got?
Also spent a domain dice, and the best I can do is a 10.
Okay. Okay, domain dice are good. I need somebody to roll me a d20 plus 5 for Fig.
I did. I got a 10 on the die. You guys want me to re-roll?
Calling for a reroll.
What's oh, it's a 15.
It's a plus 5 for Fig. That makes a 15.
Yeah, go ahead and re-roll it.
All right, gonna re-roll.
That's better. 21.
All right. As this dragon, real quick, I want an insight check from anybody that wants to.
I can do those. Woohoo! 25.
Nice.
Thorgarn.
23.
Okay. You, as this thing disintegrates the docks as it comes flying in, this is not fire breath. It is pure light that is destroying everything. This dragon is breathing radiant energy. As it flies overhead, all of you brace yourselves as it begins to swoop around. Talmud, as you're looking at this dragon fly overhead, you are overcome by the sheer power and magnificence of this constructed dragon. As it banks, it turns its head, and its forged glowing eyes catch yours, Talmud. And we see in Talmud's eyes reflected the twin points of these forged lights reflected as Talmud, the dragon, mentally commands you that Drown is your target. You turn to look at Drown, and Drown, you see Talmud look at you with these pinpoints of light in his eyes, and we hear just this cracking of knuckles as Talmud's hands grip Gerta Brilne that much tighter. The dragon is swooping around, and we hear once more as it does recharge. You see the forge glow begin to brighten in its mouth as it comes swooping towards, and that is where we are going to end this session. I know you guys knew I was building to the end. We're not going to start a big dragon fight this late. But yes,
then for this one,
Talmud, you are charmed by the dragon, and for right now, and we'll come back to it obviously when we return in 2 weeks to the Dawnbringers.
Oh no!
For the next minute,
That's right.
For the next minute, you are under the. You'll be able to make wisdom saves again.
Okay.
But the dragon has chosen Drown as your target. Thank you, everybody who was tuned in tonight. Thank you for the gift subs and the raids and all that great stuff. Just a couple quick notes before we head out of here. First of all, as I said, it'll be 2 weeks because next week it's Jasper's Game Week. Jasper's Game Week actually starts tomorrow on D&D Beyond. So you're going to want to tune in for that to see all the awesome games that are happening over there. At noon on Sunday, May 2nd, we kick things off here on Mini Terrain Domain from noon to 1:30 a.m. every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every day, 4 games, awesome DMs and games. Next Thursday night, 2 hours later than our usual 8:30 time slot at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Dan, V, Jeremy, and Dwight, the big bearded nerd, will be joining us for a special one-shot that we are running for Jasper's called Bardic Desperation. So you'll want to tune in to check that out as well. We are going to be giving away a lot of stuff for... I know we got a bunch of dice codes, all kinds of great stuff like that. But that's not the big thing. The big thing is we are raising money, a huge push, our annual week-long event to raise money for Jasper's Game Day. That money goes to benefit, specifically goes to fund, a large portion of their money goes to the American Association of Suicidology, who disperses that money to crisis centers and crisis call centers such as the the teen crisis suicide line, and the numbers that you see when we offer up for help. So it is a fantastic cause, one that we believe very much in, and we are excited to once again be working directly with Jaspers on this massive event. When we go off the air for our European friends, and further beyond, our friends at Ardent Roleplay and Meeples and Dragons will be running, I believe they're running from 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Time for something like 12 hours a day or close to that, with a bunch of cool people, including our friends Band of Badgers, are participating in some games over there. And then wrapping the weekend up with some online, they're doing like a ton of non-streamed and streamed content with Paizo and Adventures League, a bunch of stuff on the Jaspers Game Day Discord. We're on track to blow last year's fundraising goals out of the water. So stay tuned for that as well. Tune into or follow Jaspers Game Day on Twitter. Follow at MTD_Jake. At Big Bearded Nerd and at D&D Jordan Lee. The three of us are Mini Terrain Domain. I could not do what I am doing without the direct partnership with Jaspers, but I would be completely lost without Dwight and Jordan helping out with this and just being a part of Mini Terrain Domain. So we look forward to seeing you starting tomorrow on all of the various Jaspers Game Week stuff, and hope to see you in the chat throughout all next week. And a quick reminder for those that came in late, we unfortunately, but for good reasons, are going to be without M for a while. Eventually, Fig will figure out what's going to happen with Fig. I'll just put it at that. I'm not just going to kill Fig off or anything, because M's coming back. But M is pursuing some career goals and things over the summer, and we wish them well, and are very proud and excited and inspired by what they are doing. I think that is all I have. Oh, I will say for our sponsor, Talon and Claw, be sure to check out Talon and Claw tomorrow as they launch their Kickstarter for the dice. So check that out. I know we got a bunch of dice goblins out there. So the last thing I want to say, of course, as I already said, thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you, as always, to these amazing players. Thank you, Dan, V, M, wherever you are, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for 3 hours. With that, we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
We're in trouble.
Crap.